We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Ring that notification bell. Smash that like button. Share the video. If you want to support this college football's Rebel Outpost with a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $ where you make a comment and I'll get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Playoff weekend has arrived. Oklahoma Sooners versus the Alabama Crimson Tide. Give me your comments on the football game. Give me a call later on in this program. What do you think is going to happen? We already made our picks. I took Alabama. And you all took Oklahoma. And you took Oklahoma by a landslide. Now, I can't really blame you all. I mean, look at the Sooners' defense. My goodness. And that Alabama offense can't run the football. It could, look, you guys, now I'd like to give you all shots because you all consider yourselves the PATC Einsteins, but you are a game ahead of me. You guys are 85 and 86. I'm 84 and 87. So maybe I should shut up. Maybe the fat guy from Minnesota should keep his mouth shut when it comes to this football game tonight. Well, you know what? I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. How about them apples? How about them apples? I've got Bama. I've got Bama. Look, so we're going to be talking about more of that football game. We are actually going to be doing a watch party tonight. The playoff game between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Alabama Crimson Tide. The game is going to be in Norman, Oklahoma. I know that fan base in Oklahoma is ready to go. It is absolutely ready to go. So, Bruce Sooner, the Sooner in the PATC family. Thank you for taking Alabama, by the way, Bruce. Just warning everybody. Just going to warn everybody. I'm on a roll. This is, you're talking to Greg the Gold right now, not Greg the Cooler. Greg the Gold. This is where I shine. This is the moment where I'm not the mayor of Loserville City. This is where I actually shine. College football playoffs. I've got Bama. Stephen McNeely took Bama. Smile time. How's it going, Greg? It's going good. I'm very excited. I'm all pumped up. I'm pumped up about the Bama-Oklahoma game. I'm all pumped up about Texas A&M in Miami. Oregon, James Madison, Tulane, Ole Miss. There is no secret. I love college football. Sorry, I love college football. And by the way, for all of those people out there in the world, all those college football reporters and Nick Saban, and I got to be careful here because my mother, my 92-year-old mother, is a great fan of Nick Saban. So I got to be careful what I say. I cannot say too many bad things about Nick Saban. Saint Nick. My mother is a huge Bama fan. Let me say this. Tulane and James Madison. I don't care if they lose by a field goal. I don't care if they lose by 10 points. I don't care if they lose by 3 touchdowns. They are not AAA baseball. Sorry, Saban. Sorry, Kirk Herbstreit. Sorry, everybody out there. If you do not want the G6, soon-to-be G6 teams to have access into the playoffs, well then, cut the divisions up. Because right now, Tulane and James Madison are FBS. They're in the club. They're in the club. Now, they might not be walking into the club with the same type of tuxedo that you are wearing Oklahoma, Bama, Ohio State, and the rest of you in the playoffs. Their shoes might not be as shiny. They might not even be wearing dress shoes. They may be wearing boots. But they are in the club. And per the rules that the club made, they're in the playoffs. So if you don't want these teams in the playoffs, if you don't want them to have access, or you want to constrict their access and saying they've got to own property to vote, they have to be in the top 25 to get into the playoffs. All right, let's negotiate that out. Let's negotiate that out. But let me get this off my chest. Let me get this off my chest. The reason why I spend so much time getting you all upset, the reason why I spend so much time on the Army of 24. The reason I spend so much time on pushing the notion, pushing the narrative, pushing the agenda of expanding to 24, 444426 is because the power of consolidation is stronger than ever. Your mark, Phillips, wake up. Go out in public and say you are for the Army of 24. Because, as Go Black says, where is Go Black's statement here? I've already lost it. I'm unorganized this morning. Go Black says, let the GV6 have their own playoffs. First, they will come for James Madison, the Sun Belt, the MAC, the Mountain West, the new Pac-12. First, they will come for them, and then they will come to you, Big 12 and ACC next, after the next conference realignment. The power of consolidation is stronger than ever. They don't want the 24 because, not that it's going to fail, because it's going to succeed. They don't want it to happen. They know that you cannot take the genie, put the genie back in the bottle. I want the genie to come out of the bottle. The power of consolidation is strong. You can see it. Look, these college football reporters, they're not hiding it. They want it. All of them want it. They want to talk about a super league of 32, 30, 28, 40 teams, whatever. They want consolidation. I'm fighting against it. First, they come for the G6. Then they're going to come after you, Big 12. They're going to come after you, ACC, especially after the next realignment. And then they're going to come after the bottom half of the Big 10, bottom half of the SEC. Congratulations, you've got your elite Super League. It's time to fight them in the battlefield Army of 24. That is why I called it the Army of 24. This is the most important issue out there. Of everything else, the playoff format is the most important issue. In your mark and Phillips, God, what the hell, man? Get out there in public and push for it. You got Phillips saying, well, man, I guess I'm open for more than 16. You've got your mark saying, well, I can talk about, yeah, if they want to talk about equal AQs for the, I can, no. Go out there with the microphone in front of your face and say, we are for the Army of 24. But they won't do it. And I can't understand why they don't do it. It's bizarre. It's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. So you've got that big old thing happening. And the latest reporting from Ross Dellinger is the momentum. Listen to this. Thank you, Bill G. I'll get you 5 Get Them memberships in a little bit, but I'm all riled up because it's playoff weekend. I'm all riled up. Thank you, Bill G. I'll get to it in a moment. Thank you for your generosity once again, sir. Appreciate it. The latest reporting is there is continued momentum for a playoff of 16. Playoff of 16. with 13 playing 16, 14 playing 15 in 2 play-in games. Then, after those play-in games, right, you're going to have 14 teams remaining. Then in the second round, you're going to have the third place team playing the whatever the lowest ranked team is left. Let's just say the 13th ranked team and the 14th ranked team won their first round, their playing games. You would have third playing 14, 4 playing 13, 5 playing 12. So the top two teams would have a double bye. The top 2 teams would have a double bye. In this college football playoff format that is gaining traction, according to Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger, the 13th seeded team, which would have been who this year? BYU? Let's just say it was BYU. I don't know. BYU would have to win 2 more games in the playoffs than the second seeded team, the Buckeyes. Is that a playoff you all want? Is that a playoff you guys all want? Unbelievable. Anyways, why would you give the top 2 teams a double bye? Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I'm telling you. Steve McNeely, absolutely correct. Rewards regular season. You know what rewards the regular season? Army of 24. Three different tiers of rewards. 17 through 24, you got into the playoffs. First round, you go on the road. 9 through 16, you get a first round game at home, on campus. 1 through 8, you get a first round bye and a second round game on campus. It blows away this silly notion of a 16-team playoff with a double bye for the top 2. BLG, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I am way behind here. Let me get to the very generous memberships, and then I'm going to touch upon. I'm going to touch upon. We got a lot to talk about today. The Big Ten. Is still at Defcon 1. Do I know exactly what that means? No, I do not. But this is college football's peek around the corner. We're going to keep poking and we're going to keep prodding. But for anybody to believe that everything is kumbaya out there, your cheese has completely slipped off your cracker. The Big Ten is still pissed. We're going to talk about that. Bill G, gifted membership to Bobby Hansen, Solar Knoll, KCW Mac, Kenneth Wayner, and Lewis Pop. Thank you, Bill G. Appreciate it. The 5 names I just mentioned. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Bill G's incredible generosity once again. Bill G, thank you so very much. All of you are knighted. All of you are knighted, cloak and dagger. Thank you, Bill G. I very much appreciate it, sir. All your generosity. It's very, I'm very humbled by your kindness. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And then we've got where are you, Stephen McNeely? Merry Christmas, all early peak member for 25 months. Stephen McNeely has had to put up with me for 20. He didn't have to put up with me. He chose to put up with me for the last 25 months. Thank you, Steve McNeely. Very much appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. And then we got the Evil Badger. He's already getting ready for next year. The Evil Badger sees light at the end of the tunnel. The Evil Badger believes in his Badgers. Believes that Wisconsin is going to make some hay in the portal. This is the time for Luke Fickell to strike. Evil Badger, an early peak Cloak and Dagger member for 24 months. Merry Christmas, PATC. Thank you, Evil Badger. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Thank you for your kindness very much. And then Evil Badger does the unbelievable, gives out 10 gifted memberships. We got M. Monk, Rocco, I.K. Knoll, Marquez Stiggers, Richard Ledford, 0062392, Storm Chaser, Browns backer, Woody Bartner, and Bernie Madoff. I believe that's Bernie Madoff. I believe that is the true Bernie Madoff. Thank you for those. Thank you, Evil Badger, for the gifted memberships. So the 10 names that I just read off. Please say thank you to Evil Badger when you get an opportunity. All of you are Knighted Cloak and Dagger, which means we're going to be dropping early peak Cloak and Dagger episodes throughout the off season. And as you as a member are going to get the early peek and all the early information that we get on the happenings during the off season. I think it's going to be highly dramatic. So as you as a member are going to be able to get first peeks, early peek Cloak and Dagger. When the early peek Cloak and Dagger episodes for members only drop, you get the first look at them. If you want to become a member of this program, go to the description box below. There is a link provided. Hit the link and become an early peek Cloak and Dagger member. Thank you, Evil Badger. I appreciate it. We got another 5 gifted memberships from RT Fisherman, Nick, Don in Kansas, Prime Time Travelers, Robert Perez. Robert Perez is in the house, possibly in the house. Fresno State Bulldogs. When all 5 of you get an opportunity, please say thank you to RT for his incredible generosity. RT, thank you so very much. Very humbled that you dropped in and gifted 5 members to the family of the PATC. All of you are knighted Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Double buys are absolutely ridiculous. In the game of football, if they come out with a double buy, if Tony Petitti buckles the knee on this, I am going to go ballistic. I am going to go ballistic. No double buys in college football playoffs or anywhere else for that matter. Okay. All right. And then we got Bruce Harris. Super chat. He's getting ready. He's getting ready. Boomer, Sooner, it's going to be madness in Norman. You Sooner fans are crazy, absolutely crazy about your football program. Holy smokes. Now, again, I took Bama. I can completely understand. I can completely understand why people took Oklahoma. The Sooners' offense is clunky. It's struggling. But Alabama's offense isn't lighting anything up. Jam Miller is supposedly back. But Bama can't run on anybody. They're definitely not going to be able to run on Oklahoma's front seven. It's going to be a very low-scoring game. What's the over-under on that game? What is the over-under on that game? Why can't I find it and remember it? 40.5. Man, that is low. Woo! Woo! I don't know, guys. We're going to do a watch party tonight. There's going to be some hitting out there. That's all I know. Norman is going to be crazy. That's all I know. Ty Simpson, he's a gamer. That's all I know. John Mateer is a gamer. That's all I know. I don't know much, but I think I love you. Alabama, Oklahoma. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Brent Venables has been getting a lot of flowers lately, and he deserves them. He deserves them. Kalen DeBoer, if Bama loses this game, especially if they get blown out, he's going to go back on the hot seat. Maybe he should take that Michigan job. But I think Bama's going to win. We'll open up the phone lines. We're going to do a watch party tonight. We are going to do a watch party tonight. Oklahoma's now -1.5. MGC Sooners in the house. Thanks for coming on in, Mr. Sooner. I appreciate it. All right. The money is flowing on the Sooners then. The money is flowing on the Sooners. And again, about the playoffs. I have to disagree with Nick Saban. I have to disagree with Joe Klatt. I have to disagree with just about everybody out there. The playoffs are not, the formation of the playoffs are not just about crowning a legitimate national champion. Yes, that's important. Yes, that has to be in the equation. The playoff formation of the playoffs can't just be about access to try to get the very best teams in the college football playoffs. Yes, that's important. But the formation of the playoffs has to be about creating the most value as possible in the regular season. The formation of the college football playoffs has to be about the health of the sport that we love. And part of creating health for the sport that we love. Let me give you an example. There is thousands examples out there. Thousands of them. Darren Mensah. Remember Darren Mensah, who quarterbacked Duke to the ACC championship? Darren Mensah was the quarterback of Tulane 2 years ago. We saw him play fantastic football. We saw him beat USC in a bowl game. Then he went in the portal. He did a fantastic job for Duke. Curtis Rourke, Ohio, went to Indiana. Indiana went to the playoffs last year. You've got all these players getting poached by the Power 4 programs happily, eagerly, from both sides of the equation. You've got coaches, John Summerall, Alex Golish. The health of the G5, soon to be G6, is vital for the health of the Power 4 programs. And for these young men to get scholarships, to be able to play on a stage, these guys who were under-recruited, overlooked by Power 4 programs, for all this to happen, these G6 schools have got to be able to pay their bills. And to pay their bills, they make way more money being in these types of playoffs than having their own playoffs. So Nick Saban, I'm sorry guys, Joe Klatt, Josh Pate, all of you are missing the point on creating the playoffs in the first place. It's about the health of the sport. It's about creating the most valuable regular season as possible for the most teams as possible. And by the way, once again, Tulane is an FBS program. James Madison is an FBS program, just like your program, LSU, just like your program, Purdue, just like your program, Buckeyes, Wolverines, Bulldogs, Cougars, just like all your programs. They're the same division as you. So if you want to cut them out, well, you better start getting to work on splitting up these divisions and then watch the court cases happen and all that. They would make money with their playoffs and still play FBS teams, but they wouldn't make as much. Go Black 45. They wouldn't make as much. The G5 programs get 20% of the playoff revenues. That 20% of the playoff revenues is more than 100% if it was just them alone. They make way more money with this deal than if they were alone. That is why the G5, G6 teams are not saying, okay, we'll take our ball and go home, because they know they're going to get absolutely screwed when it comes to the money on that deal. All right. Sorry, Greg, should be 16 at most with no AQs. Reseed after first round. Okay. Well, who are the best 16 teams again? Big 12. ACC. Yormark. Phillips. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up before it's too late. Wake up. Wake up. Okay. All right. Let's get to it, guys. We've got a lot to get to here. Darren Mensah, again, returning to Duke. Big news for the Duke Blue Devils. The top 10 quarterbacks that are planning to enter into the portal. Look at the list. Sam Levitt, number 1. Nestmaker, number 2, from North Texas. Cincinnati Bearcats, Sorsby, number 3. Dylan Raiola, number 4. Josh Hoover. Breaking news last night. Josh Hoover is planning to enter the portal, and we got more news on that, and I'll give you that in a second here. DJ Legway, number 6. Kenny Minchie, number 7. Number 8, Aiden Childs. Number 9, Bo Pibula, back in the portal. And number 10, the ECU Pirate, Caton Hauser. Chris Hummer, just before we came on live, reported that the school to watch to get the services of Josh Hoover next year is the Indiana Hoosiers. Josh Hoover's got one more year of eligibility remaining. Just like Curtis Rourke 2 years ago, Fernando Mendoza, an experienced quarterback, goes to Indiana last year, and now Josh Hoover. Indiana is the team to watch. Now, we know that Indiana pushed and tried to get Josh Hoover out of high school. I was thinking that Josh Hoover might be a target of Clemson because the head coach of Indiana at the time, Tom Allen, and the offensive coordinator for Clemson both recruited Josh Hoover out of high school. So I thought maybe it's Clemson, but Chris Hummer is reporting that Indiana is the team to watch. Yes, AMAC, Josh Hoover, Hoosier. Now, Sam Levitt, I love Sam Levitt. I think he's fantastic. Sorsby, I think, is a very good quarterback. Dylan Raiola, Louisville, I'm starting to think that might be the perfect fit for Dylan Raiola, just like I thought Miller was the perfect fit for Louisville last year. Dylan Raiola, Jeff Brom would teach Dylan Raiola to get rid of the football. In Jeff Brom's offense, you get max protection. You do not have to be a mobile quarterback in Jeff Brom's offense, but you got to learn to get rid of the football. West Coast style offense, Dylan Raiola, that might work for Dylan Raiola. Louisville. DJ Legway, I'm not a believer. Sorry, guys. I'm hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping the young kid can get healthy. He can play football at a very high level, play Sundays in the NFL, but I'm not a believer in DJ Legway. But you know what? I was not a believer in Bo Nix either when he left Auburn. So hopefully DJ Legway can become the next Bo Nix. I am a believer in Kenny Minchey. He lost a quarterback battle there in South Bend. Going to be very interesting to see who gets Kenny Minchey. I'm not a believer in Aiden Childs. I think he has slid off the table. I would not go after him if I was the big-time program. Bo Pribula, again, he completed 67% of his passes. He gambles too much. He throws too many interceptions. He starts running the ball too early in his progressions. But I still like Bo Pribula, great athlete. But I can see why he's at number 9. I can see why he's behind Aiden Childs and Kenny Minchey. And Caden Hauser is a very good career at East Carolina. But a little bit of a gamble. But 1 through 5, yeah, I go with any of those guys. Depending on what type of offense I was running, Sam Levitt can play any type of offense. All right, so those are the top 10. What do you guys think? Where do you think these guys are going to end up? Where should they end up? Notre Dame athletic director and Jim Phillips got together. Had a very productive, highly positive nearly 2 hours meeting. Andrew Adelson and Ross Dellinger and other people are reporting. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips and Notre Dame Athletic Director Pete Bavacqua met in New York City yesterday for nearly 2 hours. Sources indicated the meeting was highly positive and productive. Bavacqua was upset over the way the league handled the CFP lobbying for Miami. Again, as this all happened, we said here at Peek Around the Corner that this was not going to have any direct impact on the future, the decisions that Notre Dame is going to have to make. But it could lead to an exit ramp, going to another exit ramp, going to another exit ramp. But it looks like maybe Phillips and Bavacqua making some peace. I don't think Notre Dame is not going to really have any problems with playoff access going forward, of course. But I think the vice starts to tighten up when the ACC goes through their, which I believe is going to be a big material change in their conference roster. But there is the news. Now, before we get on to the new valuations, we've got a super chat. Eva Badger, Mark Rogers doesn't understand why G5 schools would sue if they were left out of the CFP. Mark Rogers and colleagues on his shows are worried about blowouts in ratings. I don't know. We just have a difference of opinion. Again, the health of the G5 schools are important to the health of the Power 4 programs. And they're not going to be left out. They're not going to be left out until at least 2030, when the next playoff reiteration. And again, I say this with all due respect. If you are a fan of a Big 12 school and an ACC school, you do not want the G5 schools to get knifed here. You do not want any more. You do not want playoff access to be narrowed to the point where a G5 school cannot make the playoffs, or it becomes way more difficult. I'm going to be even more blunt. I'm going to be even more blunt. Ari Wasserman and Andy Staples said this on their show about 3 or 4 days ago, and I've heard it in other places. The reality is, a lot of people like in the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten, a lot of people in the Power 2, the media people, and the people who do this for a living, the chatter behind the curtain, your Paul Feinbaum and all the other names that you watch, they consider the Big 12 and most of the ACC closer to G5 than to P2. That's how they think about your programs. That's the reality of it. That is why they come out so strongly against a 24, a 4-4-4-4-2-6, or a 3-3-3, whatever it is. Even if it gives a lot of at-large spots, and they're mostly going to go to the Southeastern Conference teams, they don't look at the Big 12 the same way that Big 12, ACC, myself, and a lot of Big 10 fans and SEC fans. A lot of us give some respect to the Big 12 and the ACC, but the chatter behind the curtain, they do not. Unless they're from that region of the country in which I can name off a few names. But Paul Feinbaum, the people at ESPN, they look at the Big 12 closer to the G5 than they do to Power 2. Which is untrue, but that's how they look at it. That's why I'm saying it is so important. It is so important not to let the vice squeeze in on G5, G6 schools for their playoff access. And I'm not worried about blowouts at all, because blowouts are going to happen no matter what. No matter what we do, blowouts are going to happen. I get it. We're all excited about the playoffs. I started the show off saying I'm very excited about the playoffs. So people are going to be sitting down tonight and they're going to be either excited to watch a great close game or they're going to be upset that it was a blowout. And if Alabama gets blown out, people are going to say, well, Alabama should not have made the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. And if Oklahoma gets blown out, they're going to say Oklahoma should not have made the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. And if Tulane gets blown out, G5 should not have made it. James Madison, we're going to hear it all, right? But the success of the playoffs, the success of the formation of the playoffs isn't about tonight or the 3 games on Saturday. It's partially about that. But the success of the playoffs is, what did it do to the regular season? Did it make it more valuable? And yes, it has made it more valuable. The 12-team playoff has made the regular season way more valuable than a 14 playoffs. I'm sorry, I can name off a whole bunch of national reporters' names that were absolutely wrong when they said the regular season was going to be devalued if we went to 4 teams to 12. You know the names, you know who they are. They're absolutely wrong again when they think the regular season is going to be devalued if we went to 12 to 24. As long as the playoff formation has incentives built into it, which the Army of 24 does, the regular season is going to be more valuable for the Big 12 schools, the ACC schools, and you look at the G5, G6 schools. So I am not worried about blowouts. Not worried about it at all. They're going to happen either way. Look at the NBA first round playoffs. Look at the ML. Look at anything. There are blowouts everywhere, but only in college football we say, oh, we can't have blowouts. Oh! I completely disagree. Eva Badger, thank you for the $10 holla. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity, Eva Badger. Valuations. CNBC's official college sports valuations of 2025, the top 75 athletic programs. Now, this came out last year, and there was a list last year. For example, if you remember, Houston, Big 12 Houston Cougars did not make the top 75 last year, but they're in it this year. We're going to quickly go through the methodology after we go through the rankings. And if you remember correctly, I did some poking and prodding on this, and it came back to me like, yeah, this looks correct. If you get any group of people in this business, in finance, doing a valuation of athletic departments, athletic programs, you're going to get a different ranking. But basically, in general, everybody's got the same numbers and the same batching of programs. This is important. It can be important when you're looking at the next conference realignment, when you're looking at private equity, private capital, public capital, third-party money trying to come in, right? In conference-wide deals like the Big Ten and Big 12 is trying to strike up a deal. What program out there? What program out there outside of the Power 4 is the highest valued program? What could the Big 12 be looking at next? What could the ACC be looking at next with backfields? And of course, what would the SEC be looking at? Big Ten be looking at? This provides somewhat of a roadmap. Somewhat of a roadmap. Scott Grable, thank you so much for your $10 holla. I appreciate it. I will get to you super chat. You're very kind super chat once we go through these valuations. I just didn't want I don't want you, Scott, to think that I forgot about it. Thank you, sir. Very kind, sir. The key points, CNBC ranks the 75 most valuable college athletic programs. Programs are worth a combined $51.22 billion, 13% more than the top 75 in last year's rankings. All right. 1 through 5, the University of Texas takes the top spot. Ohio State was number 1 last year. Texas number 1 this year. Do-si-doing. There ain't going to be much changes up here, guys. Texas number 1. Buckeyes number 2. A&M 3. Georgia number 4. Michigan at number 5. Over on the far right column, you see $1.1481 billion for Texas. 6 through 10. Now, the University of Notre Dame, right? That is the one where there's actually going to be 2 non-Big Ten SEC athletic programs that are going to be in the top 20 of valuations. You're looking at University of Notre Dame being number 6, and that's why they're always the number 1 target for expansion for the P2. University of Notre Dame, number 6. Tennessee, 7. USC, number 8. Alabama, number 9. University of Nebraska, number 10. No surprises. Number 11, Penn State. Number 12, LSU. Number 13, Oklahoma. Oklahoma and Alabama playing in a playoff game tonight. Number 14, the University of Florida. Number 15, the University of Kentucky. 11 through 15, you got a Big Ten team. SEC, 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 SEC. Number 6, the University of Oregon. Number 17, the University of Wisconsin. And there is Clemson. There are 2 teams in the top 20 outside of Big Ten SEC country. That is Clemson and Notre Dame. Number 19, the University of Iowa. Number 20, the University of Illinois. But let me say this. A good portion, some portion of this evaluation has to do with their media rights. Has to do with the media rights. So, of course, the SEC and the Big Ten schools are going to get bumped up because of the conference media rights. So when you're looking at Clemson, Clemson is truly punching above their weight. because they don't have the top tier 1 media rights out there. They don't. Not even close. Clemson is not making anywhere close to what Iowa's making. But yet Clemson is valued overall a little bit higher than Iowa. So Clemson truly is a high-valued athletic programs out there for Clemson. Of course, same thing with Notre Dame, obviously. University of South Carolina. We've talked about this before. The University of South Carolina is one, like, I had a live show about this. University of South Carolina is a highly valuable football program, even though they don't win the SEC, even though they don't never really compete at the top. Overall, the University of South Carolina is very valuable. They're number 21. Clemson is number 18. 2 Power 4 programs in the top 21 in the state of South Carolina. Number 22, Auburn. Look at Stanford. They are the next in line. You've got Notre Dame, you've got Clemson, you've got Stanford. And a lot of that has to do with that market. They got a whole bunch of programs out there, very successful programs, but that market is rich with money. And if Stanford football could ever get off the mat, if they could ever get off the mat, number 24 is the University of Arkansas. Number 25, the University of Washington, even though they only get half of the Big Ten media deal. Look at 25, University of Washington. An incredibly valuable athletic department. Number 8 is Michigan State. Number 27 is Indiana. And then you look at the next 2 ACC, the next 2 programs outside of the Big Ten and SEC country. So far in the top 30, you've got Notre Dame, Clemson, Stanford, Florida State, and Miami. Florida State and Miami are right next to each other, punching above their weight, because neither one of those programs have a Big Ten or SEC Tier 1 media rights. So Florida State and Miami are punching above their weight. University of Mississippi is number 30. 31 is Missouri. 32, Minnesota. Same as they were last year. 33, Duke. Duke has dropped down a little bit on this from last year. Purdue, 34. Vanderbilt, 35. So again, outside of SEC in Big Ten country, Notre Dame, number 1. Clemson, number 2. Stanford, number 3. Florida State, number 4. Miami, number 5. Duke, number 6. North Carolina, number 7. Louisville, number 8. Mississippi State, 38. Kansas is the first Big 12 team when it talks about total valuations, the University of Kansas. University of Virginia is number 40. Kansas is the first Big 12 team listed. 41 is Oklahoma State, the second Big 12 team listed. Baylor is number 42, the third Big 12 team listed. North Carolina State, 43. Northwestern is at 44. And it's going to be interesting when that football stadium is built. Northwestern's valuation is going to shoot upwards because there's going to be no debt on that $800 million football stadium. So 44 Northwestern right now, but they're going to go way up. Georgia Tech at number 45. Iowa State at 46. Colorado at 47. Pittsburgh at 48. The Texas Tech Red Raiders in the playoffs at number 49. TCU at number 50. 51 Virginia Tech. Now they just put a whole lot of money into their program. UCLA at 52. Maryland 53. Boston College 54. Arizona 55. Rutgers 56. Brigham Young 57. West Virginia 58. Syracuse 59. Utah, mentioned often as a Big Ten candidate, number 60, as they are the first team to do a private equity deal. Oregon State 61, Kansas State 62, Arizona State 63, Wake Forest 64, SMU 65, California Berkeley 66, Washington State 67, a Pac-12 team in the top 75. University of Cincinnati 68. San Diego State, a Mountain West team, 69. University of Central Florida, number 70. Connecticut, a Big East, 71. University of South Florida, 72, and they are about to have a new stadium in 2027. University of Houston, 73. Mountain West, Boise State, Mountain West, Nevada, Las Vegas at 74 and 75. And if you look at that, Boise State's going to be in the Pac-12, right? At number 74. San Diego State is going to be in the Pac-12 at number 69. But UNLV is going to be staying in the Mountain West. They're probably going to be the most valuable program in the Mountain West at 75. The value of college athletic programs is being fueled in large part by the escalating media rights deals for football and basketball. The Big 12 Conference, for example, began a 6-year television extension of its media rights agreements with Fox and ESPN this season that will pay the conference an average of $380 million a year, nearly double what it got from its previous media rights. The methodology. The rankings exclude the military academies and are limited to schools that participate in the NCAA's Football Bowl Subdivision, or FBS. The revenue figures were obtained by the Department of Education's Equity and Athletics Data Analysis and the Knights Newhouse College Athletic Database for fiscal 2024. To compile the values of the college athletic programs, CNBC consulted Athletic Director U, which has an expansive database of college athletic programs, financials, and information. Jason Belzer has advised universities on NIL and private equity deals. So this is important. This is important. Jason Belzer may have consulted Utah or the company or the companies that did a deal with Utah, but probably advised the universities. CNBC's list reflects the current enterprise value of each program. starting with the base revenue multiple for of all institutions, then adjusting the multiple for variables, including the conference affiliation, estimated NIL spend, school subsidies, number of alumni, other factors. All right. So, if you're looking at Utah, what type of deal that they were able to get with this type of valuation, something where close to it, then maybe West Virginia can get the same type of deal, right? Maybe a Syracuse can get the same type of deal. According to all this, they got the same valuation as Utah. Something to think about, something to keep an eye on. All right, so I just wanted to go through that. We'll probably go through this. We'll probably go through this once a year because it's going to come out once a year. And then during the year, we may have to circle back to it, especially if more of these programs get more of these private equity, public capital deals like Utah. We've got a super chat from Scott Grable, Alabama Crimson Tide. Scott Grable, super chat. Thank you for all you do, sir. God willing, the Tide comes through in Norman. I'm just praying for a good game with no injuries on either team. Absolutely, sir. I do not want any injuries on either team. I'm happy. Sounds like Jam Miller is ready to go. Let me know if I'm being incorrect on that. He was not on. No, I did not look at the latest injury report. I think the latest injury report actually came out this morning, and I failed to look at it. But the previous one, Jam Miller was not. Okay, good. Jam is a go. All right. Okay. The numbers don't seem to add up. If one adds up all the valuation of each Big Ten athletic program, the number is $15.5 billion, but USC investment equity deal values the Big Ten at $24 billion. Yeah. That's exactly why everybody in the financial space has told me that this was a no-brainer for the Big Ten to accept this deal. Because they all think that UC investment overvalued the Big Ten. This valuation of UC investment blew everybody else away. And for the Big Ten not to take advantage of this deal is bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers, which is a good segue to Defcon 1. Big Ten is still at Defcon 1. John J.R. Rhodes, who does a great job at Big Ten Huddle, fantastic job. There was an article that came out today about Washington's President Robert Jones. Robert Jones used to be at the University of Minnesota, not as the president, but he did go off to, I believe, Rutgers president, and now he's Washington's president. Rhodes says you cannot trust the media when it comes to the reporting on the business dealings of the Big Ten. JR is absolutely correct. Washington's President Robert Jones called it like it is regarding the UC investment deal. One of the biggest disappointments in all of this, from where I sit, is the media. And I'm just going to call it. They got it wrong. And they continue to report a framework. They weren't even close, guys. We reported on this day after day after day. People were getting sick and tired of me. But I told you the presidents, the Big Ten, were absolutely pissed at the media. And they still are. It was not a private equity deal, but they chose to continue to talk about it. There's still a Defcon 1 inside the Big Ten. This was a serious lesson that the Big Ten had to learn. A large part of the media is agenda driven, period. You can almost predict every one of them and how they are going to report the next story. Robert Jones is getting, this president of Washington is getting attacked by the same reporters that came out and did terrible disinformation on the Big Ten's deal. You can be for the deal, you can be against the deal, but the reporters had no interest in what the deal really was. They just came out and they grinded their axe. The same reporters, you can go to their Twitter accounts. They're doing the same thing to Robert Jones. They're ripping on the guy because he came out and said the media got it all wrong. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. A lot of them intentionally got it wrong. They did not correct themselves. They did not have any curiosity to actually see what the deal is. Have you noticed the difference in reporting about the Big 12's deal versus the Big 10's deal? Have you noticed the difference in reporting when they report the Utah deal versus the Big 10 deal? Have you noticed the language that they're using? Completely 180 degrees difference. And there's one of them. There is one of them. Expansion crush. But you know what? It's not important what I think. I'm a nobody, just a fat guy from Minnesota behind a mic. The fat guy from Minnesota, the host of the most unpopular college football national YouTube channel out there. But it is important what the presidents think. It is important what the commissioner thinks. It is important what the largest boosters of the conference, the money perch, think. It is important what Fox thinks and NBC thinks and CBS thinks. It's Defcon 1. It's still Defcon 1. The Big Ten, they throw out this college football playoff idea, 24 teams, 4-4-4. They're not, Yormark and Phillips can't even get out. The Big Ten is alone. I told all on this transfer portal happening during the playoffs. The Big Ten was alone in saying it shouldn't be there. So what does all this mean? Really, what does all this mean? I have sat here every single live show that we've done lately, last couple of years, and I have stated there is nothing imminent in conference expansion. I've also said the odds-on favorite, the chalk, the major chalk, to move first in conference expansion is the Southeastern Conference. They've got the velvet hand. They've got the power. They can steer teams in their way. And most of these ACC top programs see more value. It's a lot easier transition to go from the ACC to the Southeastern Conference than to go to the ACC to the Big Ten. It's just the way it is, Big Ten. It's just the way it is. So I've been repeating over and over and over again, nothing is imminent, and when things do move, it's probably going to be the Southeastern Conference that acts first. I'm going to only repeat half of that going forward. Nothing is imminent. Even today, nothing is imminent. But I'm not going to say no longer that the chalk is the Southeastern Conference moving first. The real reality is, other than the SCORE Act, other than the college football playoff format, which is not going to go the Big Ten's way, at least not this iteration of it, other than those two things, when they finally get resolved, there is nothing holding the Big Ten back. There's nothing holding them back. They're not going to wait for the Southeastern Conference, most likely. They're not going to wait for Notre Dame, most likely. They're not going to wait. Why should they? There is no reason why they should. As long as they find candidates that are willing to come to the Big Ten, that adds value to the conference, that adds market diversity to the conference, that adds diversity in research to the conference, as long as they are a large research university in a market that the national advertisers would like the Big Ten, and as long as those leaders at that university, their money perch, are committed to the Big Ten Conference way beyond 2036, the Big Ten is going to act, because why not? Why not? The Big Ten thought they had to deal with the SEC. Remember when they had those advisory groups? Remember when 13 out of the 16 athletic directors said yes to go for the 4-4-2-2-1-3? And then the Southeastern Conference said, no, we're not going to do it. And then all the national reporters piled on the Big Ten for having such a stupid idea. And then the Big Ten changes their idea, gives flowers to the Big 12 and the ACC, 4-4-4-4-2-6, and yet the Big 12 and the ACC commissioner cannot come out in public and support that idea. They're going to do this 16-team playoff with a double bye for the top two? And then in the UC investment, you can be for it, you can be against it, but the reporters, each and every one of them, lines up and reports incorrectly on the deal. And then they use the deflection of, well, the Big Ten, their process was wrong. They didn't get everybody involved. Baloney, as my father would say, God rest in heaven, baloney. The process, they were doing it for months. They had all the information to Michigan, USC, and everybody else. The reporters could not let this UC investment deal happen. Why? Because the grant of rights would go out to 2046. Why? Because there would be unequal revenue sharing in the Big Ten, something that these reporters have said needs to happen. So the Big Ten is about to do it, and these reporters could not abide. They couldn't have it happen. They could not have the Big Ten have all this leverage. They could not let the Big Ten have all the, they were not going to allow it. They were going to shoot at it from every mountaintop, every top of the buildings. They were going to shoot at it, and they did it. Again, it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you all think. It matters that the Big Ten believes this. They do. This is Defcon 1. It's still Defcon 1. The Big Ten, for whatever we think about them, being conservative and stodgy and a big ship that is very difficult to turn, the Big Ten was the one that created a second region in their conference. Then they created a third region in their conference. They want to create a fourth region in their conference. They created the Big Ten Network. And then they set up this UC investment deal. All financial people out there are saying it's a no-brainer for the Big Ten to do, and the reporters could not report that. The Big Ten has nothing stopping them from acting first. After the SCORE Act, once we get if that passes or doesn't pass, we got to get that resolved. The college football playoffs, if the ACC and the Big 12, if their commissioners cannot get in front of the microphone and fight for that in public, then what are we even doing? Big Ten, what are you even doing? Everybody wants, now all these reporters want to kick out the G5 and G6 schools. Almost all of them. Soon they're going to be wanting to kick out the Big 12 schools. So why is the Big Ten fighting the fight anymore? The Big Ten is going to expand. They are going to expand. Nothing is imminent. Nothing is imminent. As Mark Coyle said, the athletic director, our friends at Oregon and Washington wanted so badly to be in the Big Ten, they're getting half of the media revenue. And Oregon and Washington would not change their decision today. Sorry, Kazano. Sorry, Wilner. Sorry, every reporter in the West. They would not change their decision. Whether it's 2 days or 2 years. Mark Coyle, there's going to be continued fluctuation. And there is no reason for the Big Ten to stop. The Big Ten is never going to have the reporters on their side. They're not going to have ESPN on their side. They're not going to have On3, whatever network you want to talk about. They're not going to have them on their side. Notre Dame just found out they're not going to have ESPN on their side. Father Dowd just found out what we have known for years in the Big Ten. Yeah, Big Ten ain't going to wait. Big Ten is not going to delay action. Once the plane has landed, when it comes to the college football playoff format, and when it comes to this SCORE Act, trying to get this thing codified, and by the way, if it doesn't get codified, if you're rooting for this thing not to get codified, well then you want more fuel to be put on the breakaway fire. Because that's what the Big Ten and the SEC are going to do. They're going to break away. People are fighting the wrong battles. People are fighting the wrong battles. Yormark is fighting the wrong battle. I like Brett Yormark. He's done a wonderful job for the Big Ten. But this college football playoff situation is a complete mess. Greg, the Big 12 would have had 3 teams in. None of that. That's not even the point. Yormark's got to wake up. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines. Let's see here. Thank you, Scott Grable. Appreciate that super chat. Thank you so very much. Steve-O, anything on PAC expansion, G6 activity? No, I have not poked and prodded on that at all lately, but I will. There is going to be some activity, I believe, even during this off season. But I thank you so much for the $5 holler. I very much appreciate it, Steve-O. Thank you so very much. The Big Ten is holding themselves back because of the SCORE Act and the college football playoff format. When those two things are resolved, there's nothing holding the Big Ten back. The Big Ten is not going to get what they wanted in the college football playoffs. They did not get what they wanted in the portal. Okay. And the Big Ten probably isn't going to get what they want in the SCORE Act, because that's going to get knifed to death. They're not getting what they're perceived to be correct from the national football reporters. At some point, the Big Ten is going to act in their own interest. They are going to expand the conference. And they're going to get knifed for it, but they're going to get knifed for anything that they do from here on out. So that's why it's Defcon 1. This is Defcon 1, guys. I don't know how more clear I can be on it. I don't know how more clear I can be on it. Phone lines are now open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Again, we reported to you guys right when this all was happening in real time. We told you that the Big Ten presidents were pissed at the media. And they're still pissed at them.
Call from
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, the floor is yours. Let it rip, sir.
Well, Greg, how are you on this fine Friday?
I'm very excited about Alabama, Oklahoma. Very excited.
Yeah, me too.
We're going to do a watch party on it, so buckle up.
All right, I will. So I was bored the other day, and I called the Paul Feinbaum show.
You did?
I did, and I got through.
Wow.
And my question was the SCORE Act and the SAFE Act. And he said, don't bet on it.
Yeah.
He said, what's more likely to happen is an executive order, which is, a partial fix, I guess.
Well, and the executive order ain't going to hold, so.
Not over the long run, for sure, right?
No. So we're, all of it is a, we're heading towards a breakaway, and I guess I'm the only one that's trying to fight against it, because I don't know.
Well, it's hard to get Congress to do anything, right?
Sure. Yep. And it's hard to get any of these. It's hard to get these 70 teams, 68, 69 teams together to do anything. They can't agree on anything. It's hard to get 18 Big Ten schools to agree on anything. So.
Well, of course, if we don't get the SAFE Act or the SCORE Act or some bingo executive order, what does that do for the House settlement?
Well, we're screwed.
Right? It'll be challenged.
Yeah, the lawyers. Yeah, it's going to be the lawyers in the House lawyers are going to rip up the settlement agreement, or the judge is going to rip up the settlement agreement, and then the back pay of $2.8 billion is going to go to $15 billion or $20 billion, and then you've got agents out there on X and their lawyers constantly putting out statements saying this doesn't work, that doesn't work. The way we do this, guys, is we have a collective bargaining agreement. But once you ask them questions, I guess that's what they'll have to do,
right?
Huh?
I guess that's what they'd have to do.
Yeah, but they have to do that. But a collective bargaining agreement, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely worthless. It's worthless if you do not have a legitimate body that can enforce rules, that can enforce real name, image, and likeness deals, just like the NBA does, just like the NFL does. There's this organization out there called the Athletic Organization, supposedly representing student athletes. They came out with a big post a couple of weeks ago saying, we're for the CBA and unlimited NIL. Okay. Hey, bozos, let me ask you a question. Why would any school conference, why would any of them agree to a collective bargaining agreement if there is not any guardrails around NIL? Why would they be for that? It's just ridiculous. It's just the NFL. When you're a football player in the NFL, you cannot sign NIL deals that are inducement deals, that are deals that are not really for profit. You cannot go around their contracts. You can't go around their cap. You can't do it as an NFL football player. So why, as a college football player, should you have this? You can't. It's like Charles Barkley said, college sports is killing itself over the top 1 or 2% of their athletes. They're giving them everything and they're destroying everything else. And the lawyers and the agents love that. And a lot of these fan bases are rooting these agents and lawyers on an X. Like they can't figure out what the hell's going on. Sorry, Christopher Hooter, you got me all going. Go ahead, sir.
No, I hear you. Okay, so let's say, I don't know, we get an executive order, and it's good for a year or whatever, and then it peters out. So then the judgment is challenged. It's not $2.5 billion or whatever. Now it's 10 or 12 or 15. Well, holy cow, man! It's over at that point for most schools.
Yeah. And then they're going to get their super elite super league, which the agents
and maybe that's why maybe that's the real reason behind the not taking your capital, your public capital deal with the Big Ten enterprise. Maybe that's the real reason, because they think it's all just going to come crashing down, and we're going to cherry pick teams and form a team of 32 or whatever, and and I'm sorry for the rest of you, right? But so I don't know. I hope that does not happen.
Well, we're heading in that direction, and I can't seem to wait. I'm the Paul Revere of college football, Christopher Hooter. I'm too fat for a horse to keep me up, but I am the Paul Revere. I'm not on a horse. I'm in a what do you call that? I'm in a horse and buggy. I'm Paul Revere in a horse and buggy. And nobody wants me to go through their town yelling and screaming, the elite breakaway is happening. The elite breakaway is happening. No one wants to listen to me. So,
and that might be good for the elite.
Sure. Well, it might be. It might not be, but
might double their revenue, right?
It's going to be horrible for a lot of. It's going to be horrible for a lot of young men and women who want that who need that scholarship to get their education.
Yes, and good luck to the I think the SEC carries 20 to 21 teams or something like that, programs. Yeah. I think, but the big is like over 30, right? Most of them.
I don't think most of them. Some of them, a couple of them. Most of them are in the 20s.
Upper 20.
Yeah.
Upper 20. Yeah. Okay. And then people like Stanford, where they're over 30 or whatever, right? So that's just not going to be feasible. Yeah. So anyway, well, hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the program, and I'll see you tonight.
You got it. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yes, sir. Okay, thanks.
Look, there is this one reality where we all love to give elbows to each other. We all like, we like to say.
From
Tristan Fives.
Tristan Five, can you hold on for a moment, please?
Yes, I can.
There's this one reality where we all like to give elbows to each other. The Southeastern Conference fans, I love them. They like to give elbows to everybody. We're the best conference of the country. The Big Ten likes to give elbows to the Southeastern Conference and say, well, we're just as good as you are, blah, blah, blah. And the Big 12 and the ACC fan base, they go after each other. And a lot of Big 12 fans in here go after the Big 10 saying you're no good or you're not all that good. Whatever. We all like to give these playful elbows to each other. Have you guys, have you ever really listened to Paul Feinbaum? I know a lot of you don't, but someone's got to say it. Paul Feinbaum, every time he talks about the Big 12, he thinks the Big 12 should basically go away. This is what they're thinking, guys. This is what they're thinking. Alabama should not be playing Big 12 teams. LSU should not. Literally, that's what they think. So I'm just warning you all, man. After they get done burying the G6, they're going to come after you next, Big 12. They are. Wake up, Yormark. Oh, Greg, you're gaslighting, whatever that term means. Listen up. Go ahead and Google it. Listen to how these guys talk about programs in the FBS, programs in the Power 4. Just listen to them. They want more and more and more consolidation. And you got the Big Ten out here. I'm telling you guys, the Big Ten is so disappointed in the ACC and the Big 12 right now. They understand the Southeastern Conference looking out for their own interests, why they're battling, what they want. But the Big 12 and the ACC, Phillips and Yormark, what are you doing? Tristan 5, go ahead, sir. Thank you for calling. The floor is yours.
Thanks for taking my call, Greg. Hey, listen, when you were talking about the playoff a couple of shows ago, I wanted to call in. I couldn't get in. You kind of stole my thunder a little bit. I was going to point out that I don't think that the SEC is going to get a team into the championship game. And I've actually been thinking about it, Greg, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest I'm going to take it a step farther. I think that other than the games in which you have two SEC teams playing each other and the game where Ole Miss plays Tulane, I don't think the SEC is going to win a game. I think Miami's going to beat Texas A&M. I think the winner of Alabama-Oklahoma is going to get beat in the next round. I think Georgia's going to lose to Ohio State. I think the SEC is going to be supremely embarrassed in this year's results.
I got up on the screen here my predictions.
Right.
I do have Alabama or Oklahoma losing to Indiana.
Yep.
I do have Georgia losing to Ohio State. I do have Miami beating Texas A&M.
Okay, so I guess we're thinking the same thing.
I guess I agree with you.
Yeah,
I do have Texas Tech beating Oregon, but again, I might have Oregon winning that game. I just want to see how healthy Oregon is in that game against James Madison. But I agree with you, and I think I agree with you, Trishan. I think this is a very come on, SEC, let's go here. You talk. The last 2 years haven't gotten your way, and this year, I don't know, man. I love Georgia, though. I think Georgia can win it all. I think they can win it all. But anyways, go ahead, sir.
Well, Georgia, Greg, you're right that in the sense that they're probably as talented as any other SEC team. I don't think they're as talented as Ohio State. Okay, but they're playing the best football right now in the SEC, and they have been for the last few weeks. But listen. This is a nightmare scenario if it plays out that way for the SEC, because they're going to lose their high ground in terms of their reputation and the way they always talk down to everyone else about their football product. And you know what? I'm not cheering for that outcome, but I'm expecting it. I don't think they're going to win these games, and we'll get to talk about that. That'll be a great talking point in the offseason if it happens.
Yeah.
But Greg, the thing about Georgia, and it sounds like I'm a critic of Georgia the way I talk about them. I'm really not. I love Kirby Smart. The one problem he's got, even as well as Gunnar Stockton is playing, Greg, he is not an elite quarterback. He's a good college quarterback. But Kirby doesn't get these elite quarterback prospects and develop them. And these, the way Ohio State gets their receivers, the way LSU gets those receivers that they get, and these top shelf quarterbacks, that's the one thing Kirby can't do. And I think, again, it's going to happen again this year. They're going to come up short in the playoff. And the exception, his national titles, the exception here is that when he had Stetson Bennett and Todd Monken and Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey all working together, those days are gone. And until he gets the offense figured out, like big-time offense, the way Ohio State does it, the way these other schools do it that are like LSU, and the way Alabama used to do it under Nick Saban, and the way Clemson used to do it. He needs to get in that direction, and he still is coming up short. And Greg, I'm not saying that the team can't win. They can, but I just don't think that they will. And that really is the main difference in my eyes. That really is the main difference. He's just, in these big games, he's not going to be able to score enough points. So.
All right, man.
That's what I had for you, and we'll see how it goes. I think the SEC is going to get knocked out, and they're going to be embarrassed. So,
all right.
Have a good one, Greg. I'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Boy, Gunnar Stockton.
Call from
Rick?
Rick, can you hold on for just one moment, please?
You bet.
I appreciate it. Gunnar Stockton, is he an elite quarterback? I think he is. That's one point I would disagree with Tristan on. I think he's an elite quarterback. I don't know if, again, like last year's Georgia team, I don't know if this Georgia offense is working like if they've got their engine totally working. Their wide receiver room last year was a huge disappointment. This year, things seem to be better. It looks like they're giving the ball more to Nate Frazier, like they should be. That Buckeye, if Georgia gets by Ole Miss, and if Buckeyes get by Miami or Texas A&M, the Buckeye-Georgia game is going to be fantastic, and I really think Georgia's got a shot to win it. I just don't think they will. I think the Buckeyes are going to nip them at the wire in that football game. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I started yelling in April about Petiti and the Big Ten making the first move.
Yeah, you did.
Instead of waiting for the SEC to dabble around and do whatever they're going to do with North Carolina and whomever. Because when you've got the power, you need to flex it. And that appears imminent if we're in Defcon 1, that maybe they're deciding to take the lead instead of following the SEC. The other thing is, if I'm Petiti and the Big Ten, and I was talking to Sankey, I'd remind him, I'd give him a wake-up call on what's going to happen next year. First of all, if I don't agree to it, things stay the same as they are, number one. Number two is, I'm okay with that. Number three, you're used to getting your teams in to the current playoff after playing 8 conference games. That's not going to be the case next year. You're going to be just like us, playing 9 conference games. And oh, by the way, not only are you playing 9 conference games, you're also going to be playing an additional P4 game that not all of us are. So the available spots next year, if they're less the same as they are right now, aren't going to come as easy to you as they have in the past. Now, the real kicker. I know, in my capacity as the commissioner of the Big Ten,
Yes.
that you, Mr. Sen, are beholden to ESPN. Just like your sidekicks, Phillips and Yormark. And with a 4-4-2-2-1-3, you'll get 4 SEC teams in, 2 ACC teams in, and 2 Big 12 teams in, which is very, very good for ESPN. Plus, perhaps, more if you pick up some of those 3. History has shown us the last 2 years, last year and this year, that the Big 12 can only handle 1 team. So getting 2 is a gift. And this year, the ACC getting 2 is a gift. So I'm completely content to let this playoff continue just the way it is for years and years to come. And oh, by the way, I'm going to be adding some teams to my conference. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate the phone call. Jose says keep it at 12. Strength of schedule must matter, folks, especially if it's all cooked up. If the strength of schedule is all cooked up before the season even begins. Nicole Arbach, thank you so much for saying what you said in your Substack. I am going to read it. She wrote it a lot better. She wrote it a lot better than I could ever say. Thank you so very much. Nicole Arbach. Nicole Arbach, the holiday spirit, some thoughts on college football's Grinches. I don't know about you, but I kind of find it kind of odd that so many people who work in and around college football spent the past week trashing Tulane and James Madison for making the 12-team college football playoff this year. I get it's a bit jarring to have two group of 5 participants. I don't think any Power 4 commissioner ever thought its champion wouldn't be ranked high enough to automatically qualify for the CFP, which means that people in charge of this event assume that it would be capped at 1 G5 team per year. But the ACC's best team did not play in its conference championship game because of its convoluted tie-breaking process, and its champion, Duke, was not ranked by the CFP, so here we are. The prominent voices of the sport have responded by lashing out at JMU and Tulane, 2 teams that did absolutely nothing wrong. These are successful G5 teams competing in a world that is stacked against them. No good Power 4 teams want to schedule the good G5 teams. And the big boys definitely aren't willing to play them at 3rd place. Even at the top of the G5, budgets are a fraction of what they are in the middle of the P4. Top G5 coaches get poached every single year. And so do their star players. Group of 5 schools are never going to have the same type of schedule as the Power 4 bubble teams. But they also don't have the much wiggle room either. They have to be nearly perfect to even get CFP consideration. The point is that they have access to the CFP. That every team in the football bowl subdivision starts out the year with a path to the playoff. That matters. Yes, it matters. Josh Pate, Joe Klatt, all of you, it matters. That's how other sports work. You don't see the NBA or the NFL telling half of its league that it's ineligible for the playoffs before the games are played. I've seen folks, again, this is Nicole Arbach, I've seen folks point to the spreads as evidence that James Madison Tulane should not be a part of the CFP. Tulane is a 17.5-point underdog to Ole Miss. James Madison is a 3-touchdown dog to Oregon. Would I like to see close first-round games? Of course. Does the name of a team participating in a first-round game guarantee game will or won't be close? Not necessarily. The 4 first-round games last year were all lopsided, with Tennessee and Clemson on the losing end of the 2 of them. A bracket that gives seeds 5 through 8 home games is going to give even more advantages to the better team in the matchup every single year. Teams seeded 9 through 12 are there for a reason. They're expected to lose these games. That's what these matchups look like on paper. But I'm glad they're not played on paper. I watch every game the first weekend of March Madness, even though crazy upsets are rare. Because when Florida Gulf Coast dunks all over everyone, or St. Peter's goes on a big run, it's captivating. Boise State's Fiesta Bowl upset of Oklahoma in 2006 is one of the most memorable moments in the last quarter century of college football. We love sports because we never know what we are going to see after the ball is tipped or kicked off. Besides, I'm not personally offended if there are early round blowouts. Hallelujah, Nicole Auerbach. There were a bunch of them in the NFL playoffs last year. As long as the best teams advance to later rounds and get to square off against one another, I'm happy. That means the system is working. In the spirit of the holiday season, a plea to everyone, please stop being such a Grinch. Woo! Husker Magic, I foresee Ole Miss defeating Tulane 45-10. They already defeated Tulane 45-10 this year. That was the exact score. Go Black 45. People keep talking about upsets in a completely different era of the sport. Using the NFL is totally stupid comparison. The NFL has a salary cap. All these teams are spending the same amount of money, but yet there are blowouts in the NFL. That's the point. There are blowouts of course there's going to be blowouts in the college football season, the playoffs. Of course, you can take Tulane out, you can take James Madison out, and you're going to have blowouts. You can have all 12 top SEC teams be in the playoffs. Push everybody else out, and you're going to have blowouts. You're going to have blowouts in the college football playoffs. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen. Because they don't want to come, Austin. They don't want to come. They got their eyes on a different prize. VP Hokie, the problem is the G6 is the same division with the P4. Change that and the problem is solved. Okay, go ahead and change it then. Go ahead. Work on that. But again, we can't, if that happens, then yes, of course the G6 is not going to be in the playoffs. But they're in the same division as the Power Four. You can't cut them out. All right. We've got another super chat here. Evil Badger. Evil Badger. Evil Badger, I disagree with Rick. ESPN will rig the invitational for the SEC. I don't know if Rick disagrees with you on that. But Evil Badger, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity once again. Evil Badger, I hope you come join us for the watch party tonight. I hope Steve-O, Scott Grable, Bruce Harris, the Sooner, Stephen McNeely, Bill G, and the rest of you, thank you so much for your donations. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're coming back live for a watch party. Alabama versus Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma. Come join us. It's going to be beautiful. I think it's going to be a beautiful football game. A lot of defense. It's going to be a lot of hard hitting. The game might come down to who gets the most turnovers. But I got Bama winning by a field goal, but I got Bama beating Oklahoma. You let me know as we go and do the watch party tonight. Who do you got? Let's watch it together. Put down your comments in real time in the chat room. It's going to be a lot of fun. Until next time, which is tonight, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, golden goal.